Hi, this is Joey from the Secret Men's Business.
And this is Kim from her tribe within.
And we're playing 20 questions. Are you ready, Kim?
I don't know if I ever will be, but let's go for it.
So what is 20 questions? 20 questions is where I get to ask Kim 10 questions about women, what questions that men want to sort of find out about women. And Kim's going to ask me 10 questions that women want to know about men. Now, be mindful that this is just our opinions, and also it's not saying that it's absolute. It's just a fun game, and we're just going to randomly answer the questions. We have no idea what we're going to ask each other, do we?
No.
So you better be nice to me, Kim.
You I'm worried about.
So you can go first.
Okay. So, first question. Joe.
Yes.
Is it just the most fantastic thing that you can wee while you're standing up? How does it feel to wee while you're standing up?
It is the most fantastic thing to wee when you're standing up because we don't have to do much, but it is sometimes weird in the middle of the night when you go to the toilet and you're half asleep and you think you're aiming, but you're actually getting it on the floor. So it is good, but the other thing that's I can add to that is I don't know why, but sometimes you get stage fright. When you girls go into a cubicle and it's private, but we have to stand next to each other, and so if there's a concert or something, there's a lot of people. Look, that happened to me when I was in my 20s, but you get stage fright. You would stand there and no pee would come out.
Do you sneak a peek?
Sometimes. I think that's just a normal thing. I guess everyone sneaks a peek when they've got an opportunity to see it, don't they?
That's not a legitimate question. I threw that one in.
Yeah. All right. So actually staying on the same topic in a way, I want to know, why do women always seem to go to the bathroom together?
Oh, so cliche.
Is there anything that's going on in there? Is it like a meeting? Is there a special group thing that's going on? Because it's always, if someone's going to the bathroom, they always say, "Oh, Kim, do you want to come with me?" And you go. So what's going on in there?
There is, it's a place where we share all of our favourite lollies that we've brought in our handbags and we don't want to share with anybody else. No, not really. So I don't really know. I think for me, it's FOMO actually. If you leave that group by yourself and go for a wee, you'll miss out on something. So I think we take the fun of the conversation with us, and also to make sure that we don't miss out on the conversation we might leave behind.
Okay. So it's not about you wanting to tell each other something.
No, I know everyone thinks it's a secret, but I don't think it. Sometimes it is if you've had a.
Sometimes it is, yeah. But it is interesting how you all go together. Sometimes all the girls go.
But I think sometimes if you've got one friend, sometimes you're so engrossed in your conversation, you need to go to the toilet so badly. You just ask them to come with you so you can keep chatting. And I've had talks actually in the cubicle with my girlfriends because I couldn't stop. So come on in, and it's okay if you see me wee. We've got to keep talking about this. So I think there's an element of that too.
I mean, that's another question in itself. The whole weeing in front of each other and not caring. But I guess you don't necessarily see bits, do you? Because it's not protruding or visible.
No. And if you're doing a wee, there's nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yes. Thank you for answering that. We were thinking dirty things.
Yes, it's like a pash fest, and we're telling all these secrets. No, nothing quite so glamorous.
Okay.
All right, I've got a bit of an emotional one next. Mm-hmm. I want to know, this is my question, I asked many girls, and they agreed with me, but it didn't come up into their heads. But I want to know, do men, and I think I know the answer, but I want to know from you, ever really cry?
Yes.
Not just I hurt myself, not just I'm in a down place.
I can only talk for myself. I at the moment, it's weird. At the moment, I'm finding it really hard to cry.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm finding it hard to cry because I think that I'm dealing with a lot of stuff in my life, so I'm trying to sort of hold it together. It doesn't mean I don't cry. I just know that when you go into that role and you've got to just be strong. Yeah. So, but the thing is that I know that yes, men can cry, and men probably cry more privately because they've been embarrassed or they've been told. I mean, if you think about it, boys are told at the age of 3 and 4 to stop crying.
Yeah. And hold it together like you just...
Yeah. So we sort of have, again, I can only talk for myself, we sort of have private... Look, I can cry in front of everyone, I don't care, but I know I've heard from clients and from other friends saying that they would cry alone.
Yeah. You know, like that real cry, like that sobbing.
Yeah, they do it alone. But the thing is that remember that men have been trained very young to be stoic.
Yeah.
So that's changing, I think, but they have been trained to be stoic. So no, they're not going to cry in front of the kids, for example, or, you know, they might just try and hold up that strong thing.
Yeah.
But it's insane that as well. Like, I find myself not crying over emotion, but I cry over the most stupidest things, like a stupid TV show or something. I'll cry.
Yes, that's the crying I'm talking about, Joe.
I know, but that's stupid crying.
No, excuse me.
It's a formula. It's a formula.
Yeah.
You know, you're watching a show and they purposely put the music in it. They give you context. It's formula. But like if in real life.
It's a release too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Ready?
Okay.
So how common is it for women to fake an orgasm?
That's my next question.
Well, men can't fake it. How common is it? Like, is it, I know that we know it happens, but is it a common thing that is just known amongst the women? Like, do you talk about it?
Well, it's interesting. And again, like you said, I'm talking from me and, you know, I'm probably a bit of a nerd in a lot of respects, I suppose. I don't think we speak about it. Certainly when we're younger, we don't speak about it. Would never speak about that. I think we get to sort of late 30s and 40s and it starts to be something you might have in a conversation a bit more often. But I'm going to put it out there and I'm going to guess that it would be at least, I mean, it depends. I suppose you settle with somebody that you don't need to fake with, but I would say like...
But it would need to, I guess you'd need to do it at least once.
Oh, you would have to.
Yeah. So when do you know, I know I'm going into part B, but when do you know that you need to do that? You know, like you have sex for the first time, you know, is it the man that actually encourages you to tell him that you've had an orgasm? Or do you realize you haven't and you need to then, how do you know that you've got to start faking? You know what I mean? Why can't you just be happy just not faking? That's the thing I'm interested about. Is it for the man?
Yes, it is because sometimes it's just because you know that they're not going to unless you sort of look like you are, and you might be a bit tired or you might be just a bit, you know, this is not going.
Okay, so you feel that you need to add sound effects to help your partner.
And I'm gonna put this one out there. Sometimes, yes, I do think it's for your partner, but sometimes you begin to fake it and you get the sound effects happening, and because you get so caught up in it, a real one comes instead. Right. But there's always that chance.
I need to ask you part C now. So can you, do you think people can tell when you're faking it versus when it's real? Can your partner tell? Or does he think he's the king stud of the world?
Yes, well, that was actually a question I was going to ask you. But I don't think that they can tell. No.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they can tell either.
There's ways to seal the deal in more than just the sounds too, you know?
Yeah.
So
Cool. All right, thank you.
Well, it's funny. Thank you for that one. Because I wanted to ask you, have you ever tried to fake an orgasm? I know it's hard for men. I know, well, impossible to. But would you try? Have you tried to?
No, I think that we are, again, I can only talk for myself, but I think that I would just stop trying.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, it's, the end result is the orgasm, right? That's the end result. And so if you are trying and it's not succeeding because you're tired or because whatever, then eventually there'll come a point where you just give up. But you know, most guys don't give up.
Just kind of go, there you go, it's there, and then just pretend, and then.
No, we don't do that.
No.
I don't think we're uncomfortable to actually say that we just haven't.
That's true.
Because you know the thing is we have evidence. I know that you have some evidence, but you know the thing is that we can just say it, and then and also because I do feel, and guys, please don't kill me, but I do feel that the world does evolve around penis, and so if a guy can't come or orgasm through sex, then he's going to ask for other things. He's going to ask the partner to give him a hand job or blow. So a guy just asks, which is very selfish.
I don't know. I think it's quite,
I know, but I don't think girls ask as often.
No.
So guys need to sort of sometimes stop being selfish and just think about their partner.
Yeah, or women need to start actually saying, well, no, I need better or more, or not working.
I mean, this is a side thing, but I remember once I did a course in being a multi-orgasmic man, and really what it is Tantric, and so you don't actually orgasm, but you feel this electric shock through your whole body, and I have to admit that was the most full-on thing I've ever experienced.
Wow!
So there's no actual semen; it's just the same feeling, but multiplied by 20,000.
Wow.
So your whole body has the orgasm. And so because there's a belief that releasing that energy is not good for you. So maybe it's good to fake it, because sometimes they say that, but all the energy that's extruded into that, if you keep it, it keeps you more creative and sharp and energized.
You're getting to one of my coming up questions.
Whose turn is it? Mine?
I think it's you.
Okay, so I'm going to stay on the same topic in a way. So when it comes to men's penis size, how do how big is big and how small is small? And how do you identify that for yourself? Is it packaging? Is it like how much you can package? And I know you can only talk about yourself, but if you can think about like what your girlfriends talk about, like, because there is a misconception that, a lot of guys, especially with porn and all that now, that they're uncomfortable because they feel like they're too small. But I think that's, the reality is that an average size is not massive. So it's really about how you use it. So how do women, interpret when that, the size part? And I do want to know how small is too small.
Well,
like a mushroom head.
Yeah, like when you got to feel it.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I don't know that in all my years of being a woman and talking about sex with my friends, the conversation of size has come up fewer number of times in one hand.
Well, can I ask you another question then? So if your girlfriend, say, saw a massive one,
yes,
is it something that you brag about to each other?
No, we normally go, oh gosh, you poor thing. Like
right.
There's an element of that.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Like, so you don't sort of go and say, oh my God, I had a donkey last night.
No, you don't. Yeah. No.
Okay. But I'm sure some women are.
You might have, I have heard conversations where you kind of go, oh, it wasn't much, like it wasn't very satisfying. But I don't think we actually ever sort of, and then say, well, that size would be better than this size. I mean, there's obviously, we've all got
Do you have an idea in your head if something was too big?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you'd have an idea, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that's dependent on your body shape. I don't know.
Yeah. So you're telling the audience in a way that it doesn't matter. So because I think that's one of men's biggest insecurities. And you've got to also remember, going back to the earlier question about the orgasm, is that, men do base a lot of their worth on the performance. And so, the fake orgasm or the moaning, thinking that they're satisfying their partner.
Nothing to do with the size of their penis. Nothing.
I know. Well, that's, okay. That'll be another question down the track. Because it is interesting.
So while we're on it,
I knew it'd be dirty all day.
Yeah, well, no, I've got some emotional ones, but we just seem to be skipping over them. This is a bit too much fun.
I've got emotional ones, yep.
I want to know if it gets in the way.
Gets in the
penis.
Way? Oh, okay.
Like in day-to-day touch, you sometimes walking and go, oh, this is a bit annoying.
No, it only gets in the way if you get an erection. So if you're like, if you're in a situation where an erection is required, then it's fine. But if you're like, in public and you get an erection and you've got tight pants on, it's not fine.
No, it's not.
Do you know what I mean? Because people can see. It's like, so that's uncomfortable. Some people like it and don't care. The only time I would personally say what I feel like gets in the way is more my testicles.
Yeah, okay. In the bath? Like when you're sitting in the bath, you ever sit on them?
No, babe, they float. No, it's more like, for example, you know, sometimes I'm going to be really honest now. This is full on. Like sometimes when I'm sitting in this chair and I'm doing client after client on Zoom, you know, I haven't moved, and my testicles want to be moved.
Yeah, okay.
You know, so there's that element of it.
Testicles.
The other time is if you don't ejaculate or have sex or orgasm, you feel like you've got blue balls.
Oh, you've just stolen my next question.
Yeah,
I wanted to know.
You feel like your balls are exploding, so they're just tight.
Okay.
But in regards to, you know, the only other horror thing I could think of, which I've only experienced once in my life, is when you go to the bathroom and then you're zipping up and you accidentally zip up your penis.
Yes, you've done it.
I've done it when I only did it when I was little.
Oh.
I did it when I was little, and it was the most. You could see the skin through the zip, you know. So it was one of those moments. But you know, it's not really. It's not as if you notice it. Like it'd be the same as me saying, "Do you notice your boobs?" You know, I know that you do.
It's not around quite so much though. There's not as much.
Well, we've got, you know, we've got pretty good, you know, like the underwear is everything's packaged.
Yeah, okay.
And underwear nowadays is really good unless you wear boxers or you free ball. But you know, I wear jocks and like everything is just contained and you just feel comfortable. You don't even think about it.
So is that the reason why you don't free ball?
Oh, I just don't like it. I like having everything tight in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like I don't want, you know, I'm getting older now. I don't want them to hang. Oh my God, this is getting out of control.
I
know. Okay, I'm going off the topic, so that's good.
Yeah.
So what do you feel is the main difference between men and women? What are the main differences from a woman's perspective?
Well, we're off anatomy now. I think we've got that bit covered. I think the ability to talk is a great difference that I see.
I can talk.
You're beautiful at talking. Joe.
So that means, you know, like think about what do you think the big ones are? Like, you know, we can all talk, we can all do things, but what do you think the main things that you think, you know, women do this really well, men don't?
We do. So women multitask very well.
Yeah. I agree. I definitely agree with that.
I think women are very good at planning for the future a little bit better. In terms of, really? I'm going to put this load of washing on so that I don't run out of clothes tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So you're more proactive.
Yeah, like I probably need to go to the supermarket so that the family doesn't starve when it comes to 6 o'clock and we're hungry.
Yeah.
So I think we're a bit better at that sort of forward planning. I do think we are mostly more able at saying when we need help or we're carrying something that needs to be spoken about. And that's because we're a bit better at being vulnerable, I think, generally, not always. So
can I add in there, do you think that women, you know, do you think that a man could parent a child solely? Like if, say, for example, if the mother passed away, do you think that a man could actually step up and be a good sole parent? Or do you think a mother is better than a man?
No, I absolutely think that they can. I think what happens, and you would know being therapists, is that we tend to just slot into the roles that we grew up with and relax in that place and not be bothered with the things that we don't have to be bothered about. But I completely think, in fact, I often think that if my husband was given the opportunity, or not the opportunity, had to step up into that role, he'd probably manage it a bit more, I don't know, differently to me, but very capably. Than I, but maybe a bit less chaotically.
Yeah, this is really interesting doing this. Yeah. It's like, you know, it's like we don't really talk about it enough.
No, I don't think so. And I think because my question was about that, I'll go for the next one.
Yeah.
About that pressure to be a man. Is that a real thing? You know, like you spoke before a little bit about it, but you know.
Yeah,
we don't talk about that.
Well, I think that it's a social acceptance. Like, so, you know, in any, like, you know, I'd say the fundamental element of men that are married have this connection to being the person that's going to provide and protect. It's like, you know, and if we, you know, once we move into equality, it would be that hopefully will go away because there's more women are working and the dads, you know, things are changing, right? But, you know, I remember when I was younger, there was a pressure because I found it really difficult to, you know, I didn't have a good relationship with my father. and so I found it difficult to be around him and at a young age. I found it really awkward, and it wasn't until I went to university that I discovered my role as a man.
Yeah.
Because I think as a child, I didn't really have an opportunity to be shown because of the relationship with my dad.
Yeah, okay.
My dad sort of just didn't do it. He didn't teach me anything. We fought a lot. So it's interesting. Yeah, like I think to answer your question, I think that it is a lot of pressure. And I think that is the whole idea of, when we push back, it's not because we're assholes. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of stuff going on in the world at the moment. I know we're getting off topic, but all that stuff about that, I hope that men understand what's going on, but at the same time, there's a lot of pressure that's being put on them. And so we need to sort of, in a way, remind ourselves to stop arguing and start talking. Like you said, it's like, if we're not talking, we're still pointing.
Yeah.
We want to be equal. We want this, you're entitled, white privilege, all that. I get it all. I get all that. We need to have those talks. But, I think that's got a little, a bit of pressure. I mean, you could turn around and say, oh my God, poor things, poor babies. But, the reality is that I think men and women have their own individual traumas.
Yeah.
And we can't just dismiss that men don't have trauma.
No.
Or we can't just pigeonhole all men to be one type of man.
No.
Do you know what I mean? But I think that's what society does in a lot of things. You just have to look at television. It's like, we see the same type of person. And until they start changing that, we're not going to actually,
Yeah.
Are you happy with that?
I'm happy with that answer. Very happy.
Okay. If you could change one thing about men, what would you want to see different? What would you want to change? If you could change one thing, what would you wish be?
I would wish that they could speak openly about their happiness. And I don't mean and I'm not even talking about necessarily in a relationship, but about
just to be vulnerable.
To be vulnerable, yeah.
Do you think it's changing?
I would like to hear it. I hope it's changing, Joe. I think that there's more men, certainly in my practice, who are willing to come out forward and say they need a bit of help. And I think that's the first step, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think the time will come where that's not a big deal that they did that. They just naturally are asking for help before they get there. And that'll be a
until unfortunately men are, men will abuse men if they, there's still that divide.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're weak, or you're this, or you're that. I see it in the men's groups, how they talk to each other. So it's still a bit away, but we'll get there.
Are men finding though that when they do seek that help, or they might just turn to their best mate and go, oh, things are a bit hard, I'm thinking about going to see somebody, that it opens a Pandora's door of, oh, me too, I have, or so-and-so.
I think what they're realising is, not all the time, but they're realising that it's not as scary as they thought, so they've got support.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't tell each other because they feel embarrassed, but then when they do, they feel that the person that they're telling hopefully is a good friend and they're listened to, and also they feel that they're not alone. So it's just really just about just starting the conversation. And we're doing that. So like it's just it will evolve. And if we train young boys to be like that, then at least we'll move forward. But I mean, we're having a lot of issues with teenage boys now. They're really entitled. So we're not really progressing at the speed that I would like, but we'll get there.
My turn. Okay. What do you think men's biggest fear is when it comes to committing to a relationship?
Yeah.
I
thought about this last night, actually, because of a client. I think men's biggest fear in general is being alone.
Yeah, okay.
Men fear, like they can cause all this trouble and they can be narcissistic and they can be all this stuff. But at the end of the day, if their partner was to leave, as much as they say they don't care, I think at the end of the day, they feel that loneliness. Deep down, men want to be in a relationship. They want to love.
So they okay.
So they fear that they're not going to be loved.
Okay.
Right. Because with men have shame, right? And women have confidence issues, self-esteem issues. So the shame that we've been entrenched on, we try and rectify that by what our father did, by, providing a different thing. But then we end up making mistakes. And because we don't actually then ask for help, we sometimes fuck things up.
Yeah.
Right? We stuff things up. And so what happens is then we don't sometimes control what the outcome is. Someone will leave us or they're not happy, and then we're alone. And then, so, I guess the question is basically telling us that men don't spend enough time loving themselves. So when they're alone, when someone leaves, they really notice that.
Okay.
That's why I guess a lot of men struggle when they go through divorce, because I'm not saying this in a mean way, but it's, it's legal. It's like a lot of the times everything goes towards the mother. The mother gets the children, the father gets to see the children maybe once a fortnight. So all of that stuff is really quite emotional. And, the father has to pay. All this sort of stuff is just stuff that is expected. But I know from clients, there's no support. There's no real support for that in the legal system. No. There's no network that a man can go to. There is probably small groups, but a lot of men probably won't. So they feel the pain of being alone and the loss. I believe that's one of the biggest things that they face.
So to take it a step down for the people who are asking this question of so if you're a young woman who's single and looking for a man, or a young man,
or an older man,
from his perspective, whatever, and you get faced with this, they will never commit. He's scared of commitment. He's not going to commit. You say
I don't think that's a man's problem. I think that's the woman's problem. If the woman sees that the man's not committing, she shouldn't be in that relationship. No, because we can't control other people. So if the man's not committing...
Can't, but what's making the man not want to commit?
Well, maybe he doesn't like you. Maybe he's just not into you. We know that movie.
Yeah, and normally that relationship is like...
Look, put it this way, right? If a man is switched on, he's on. If a man is wishy-washy, he's not on.
Okay.
It is... That movie really even changed my life. Because it's true. It's like if a man's interested, he will be interested. He'll do everything in his power. And that's why we see all these horrific things that happen when women leave men. That's why domestic violence is... And I'm not justifying just domestic violence, but that's why the person that is beating the woman is the husband or the partner, because they're so crazy, right? Because they're into the person that they are willing to kill them or hurt them. And that's the sad part about it. But if a man doesn't show interest or is not committing, he's just not committing. So I think that that applies to men too. It's like if a woman's not committing, I would hope that both sexes would realize that their values are telling them that this is not working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I answer that okay?
Yeah, you did. That age-old problem solved, Joe.
Well, I think it's hard. I think it's also hard to commit nowadays. I mean, for me, myself, I'm single, and I find it really hard because I feel that I struggle to find someone that aligns with what I want. It's just harder.
Yeah.
Because you don't know where do you meet them nowadays? It's like, I don't want to go online.
No, yeah.
Like people are saying that they don't even they don't even look at each other when they're in public.
Yeah.
It's all about online. I don't like the whole swiping thing.
No.
Is it my turn?
Yes, it is your turn.
Okay, so you're a mother, and so we want to know, as accurately as you can, just describe what it feels like to be pregnant for 9 months.
Oh, what a beautiful question.
What is the... what does it feel like? When do you first know that you've got a bubby inside of you? When do you, what's it like when you get the first kick? And holy shit, is that baby literally sitting on your bladder all day?
Yes, all of that stuff. So I mean, every pregnancy is different, obviously. And even having had 2 of different flavors, one boy, one girl, their pregnancy is so different. But I have to say that it is the most incredible thing in this world. That smug
the pregnancy itself.
Yes, and the early days, okay, you might be feeling morning sickness, and some women get it really quite badly, and it's horrendous. But the joy of, and those first 12 weeks where you're not supposed to tell anyone, it's your little secret, and it's there, and it's just like this little ball of love, and I just absolutely loved every second of it. And then to talk about the kicking, that is exciting, but very, very surreal at the same time.
Well,
I remember.
I was going to say, I think that, women are pretty amazing. It does seem really full on to be carrying all that weight, to walk around, to expect to work. and there's no complaining. Like, I haven't heard complaining from my people I know.
Oh.
So, how do you do that mentally? How do you carry all that extra weight? How do you eat all that extra food?
Well, you're not supposed to eat the extra food, but it's a lovely excuse to. So you carry it with, I think, with such joy and excitement, Joe. I remember I had tremendous pain down the back of my legs early in my pregnancy, like almost like sciatica, I suppose. And it was uncomfortable, but I never felt, I don't know, like if that happened to me just with an able non-pregnant body, I'd be really miffed. I'd be on a quest to, work out.
So you sort of accept things because you just call it pregnant.
You are.
So
really,
what about the first time though?
I remember teaching, and I was teaching when I was pregnant with my firstborn, and in the middle of a maths class, having the foot in the ribs, and I'd have to spend the whole class like trying to get Charlie's foot out from under my rib cage.
Oh my God!
Every time I breathed, it was up there. I didn't get the pressure on my children at all. I didn't get the pressure on my bladder, but I could remember feeling this leg and just be like, put it down.
So what about in the first pregnancy? Wasn't that scary? Didn't you get scared at all, or did you just go into that headspace of ticking it off as being it's this pregnancy? So you never really wanted to go to the hospital or thought something was wrong, or
no, I didn't feel like that. I tell you what, the first time ever in my life, I felt like an actual. Sounds terrible. Like an actual animal, like a natural thing.
I think you were going to sound like a natural grown-up.
My body took me on this journey that it was out of my control, but it was doing all the right things at all the right time, and it was pretty freaky when you'd lie on the couch at night time and all of a sudden this big bump would stick out in the middle of your t-shirt. But other than that, it's really, I was in awe of myself. I could not be more proud of me for doing something that I'd actually, as you know, have really nothing.
See, all the men have decided not to ask you about the birth part.
That's fine. I'm more than happy.
Well, I do want to add a question to it. Like, where do you think you get the energy to go through that first year? That first year of the crying and the bottles and, like, it's like as if you're like a zombie for a year. And, I saw my sister, I've seen my cousins. So do you think that it goes back to that thing where you said it's just this joy and you just get this adrenaline and you just do it?
I think the joy carries you through it. I think it catches many women off guard. And as you know, postnatal depression is quite a common thing because it's you meet the most incredible thing you've ever met in your life and something that you've loved like you've never known to love anything. And you all of a sudden realize that you are it. Like no one's going to come in and be able to feed it. Well, they can, but you know what I mean. You've got to help it poo, wee, sleep, eat. You've got to teach it to sleep. Like I remember thinking when I got home, why do I have to teach my child to sleep?
I know I could do it. I kill plants.
Yes, you can because you love it so madly. Like it's just.
I know, but it's a weird feeling. I think that because not all women will be saying what you're saying. Not all women will feel maternal. Like. It's interesting how you think that we're born on this earth to do something, but in reality, it's not for everyone.
And it's not for everyone. And then there's that massive pressure. Like, how does it feel? And I remember having my darkest moment. My husband coming home, and I said to him, "What have we done? I don't think I'm good enough to this. There's something I'm not doing right, and it's too late to go back." And I remember that hopeless feeling like in my core for the first time ever in my life.
Did you think that you were going to drop it or break it or something?
No, it was just that I felt like I wasn't making him happy because he was crying. Like no matter what I do, he's crying. What am I? There's something wrong with me that I'm not that
vodka.
Yeah.
Just dip the dummy in vodka. That's what the Maltese people do. Just put the dummy, and the baby would be like the poor. I was drunk for like a whole year, I reckon. All right, next question. Go on.
Okay, I've got a funny one now. I want to know, why do you take so long to poo? Men go into the bathroom to poo and they are in there.
I think that I don't because I'm busy, right? But I think that men generally, like, I think your question is directed more to fathers or more to someone that's living with people. And so men find going to the toilet as a break.
Yeah, okay.
So that's why they take their book in there, or they take their phone in there, or they take their newspaper in there, and that's why. Also, they could be, they could be having a bad diet, and so they're just patiently letting everything come out. I don't know. I don't experience that myself personally because I have a good diet, and it takes me like a minute.
Yeah, it takes
So,
me.
but
So
I do think that it's got to do with utilizing that time to get away and have a break. And
yeah,
it's not, I don't think they're doing it as a mean thing. I just think that it's a ritual thing where they've just probably witnessed their own dad or something, and they go in there.
yeah.
Because I personally don't understand why or how people could take reading literature into the bathroom.
I know.
Like, I don't understand. And when I go to someone's house and they've got magazines in there, I'm going, I'm not touching that.
No.
Well, what do you think? Why do you think we do? What's your interpretation of why you think we
I don't
do?
know. I just wondered if it was harder because,
Do you think that we're masturbating?
well, maybe, but
Maybe.
I
Oh, that's it. Maybe.
because the difference in is women go to the toilet and we sit down and we can poo or wee in the same position, whereas you commit. If
No,
you're
we can poo and wee at the same position too. We just
yeah, I know you can, but generally you decide before you go in: am I going to stand up or am I going to sit down?
no. If you're gonna if you have to have a poo, you sit down and you put it between your legs and you just pee in there.
Yes, but I feel like because you've got that extra mindset thing, maybe you commit more to it. I don't know.
No, I don't think it's a commitment. I just think it's just. I just think we don't think about it, and it's just an opportunity to have a break.
Yeah, okay.
In the morning, it could be an opportunity to wake up. You just, lazy, da da da. If you're at work and you're going to have a poo at work, you're just sitting there for a while because you don't want to go back to work. It's just,
Yes.
it's just a lazy sort of place that you go in. Because the other thing that we do, and this is gross, because girls do it too. But I hate going into public toilets and there's boogers on the wall. I hate that.
Oh,
The
I
girls,
haven't seen that. No.
yeah, guys,
Oh,
pick their nose and they wipe it on the wall.
something there. Yeah.
Sorry, guys, again. I might edit that. All right, is it my turn?
Yeah, it is your turn.
Okay. Why do women turn into irritable, Jekyll and Hyde during their period?
So true. And
Well,
did you know?
I guess that's more saying, like, why do you think? What can you explain to us? What's going on for the? Because it is sometimes a different person.
Yeah, and do you know that it took me? I walked blindly through being a pain in the bum every month. That's until I was actually. You could ask my husband. He'd probably say I've only realised in the last 5 years that I've been such a horrible emotional monster. And I go, oh, maybe it's got something to do with my period.
So, do you know that that's gonna? Is that like a ritual now? Do you know that it's the month? It's going to be from this day to this day, so he knows to behave differently. Do you have a plan? Because it's
I don't.
happening. It's happening every month.
Because I'm a bit older and I'm not trying to have babies or anything, I'm just letting it come when it comes. So I don't have a plan. I don't know that, next week it's going to be. Some women do. But I do sometimes when I get my period and I look back at the week gone, I think, gosh, I didn't even notice. I did really well. I wasn't a monster at all.
Yeah.
And there's other times where I kind of go, well, that makes sense, why you felt like nobody could love you, and you get quite self-defeating.
Yeah.
So
Do you personally wish you didn't have to do that?
yes.
Like, is that something that I guess, do you feel like women don't want that? Or are some women do they see that as part of, you know what I mean?
Well, I think
I know it's purpose, but, wanting it is different, isn't it?
yeah, that's right. And I think having had children, I have respect for the incredibleness that it's all about. But I do, if I could change one thing in the female design, I think that would be the first thing I change, because it can be really quite painful, the cramps you get before you go. And like it's a horrible feeling, and it's not fun having to constantly,
Have to do all that.
tampons
Yeah. And like there's also, the things with, I personally believe that those things that you use at that time should be free.
Yeah,
I don't believe that people are profiteering off something that's natural.
Yeah, it's very true. That's
Like because it is it's an odd thing to actually pressure women to buy expensive things in things that they need, rather than just saying, well, it's like drinking water. It's we have water fountains around.
Yeah. I think that's very true. But yeah, it's a beautiful thing and it creates beautifulness, but I would be lying if I didn't say it's an inconvenience.
Yeah, I was quite lucky. When I was at uni, I lived with 5 girls. And so I actually, I knew that I was in sync with all of them. And I actually, one night we actually spoke really deeply and they were very open. And I remember I was like 20 years old and I learned so much about it. I was really quite not fascinated. I was just interested in just knowing so I could respectfully behave.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because, so they described it so detailed.
Yeah.
And, over a vodka. All right, go on, girl. It's your turn.
So I look like I'm going back into anatomy here because we skipped over a few. You mentioned before blue balls, and so they clearly are a thing that I didn't know about. But on the topic of balls, because you've answered that question, I'll move on to my backup balls question. Does it actually really hurt that badly when you get kicked in the balls?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it's they're unusual things. So
Yeah, well, it sounds like it.
they're like these. It's like meat, right? But you got to remember that the sperm is created in there, so it's this spongy thing. So if you're getting, and they're also free, they're floating in this fluid. So when you get hit, it's like it's the most sharpest pain in the world. It's like sharp. It's like it's different to being hit in your body.
Is it really?
These things are genitals.
Yes.
Right. So they cut you can't breathe. It's really intense because sometimes when you get knocked or hit or kicked, they end up going back into your body.
Do you find that your reaction though is sometimes in anticipation of the pain, and it's not so bad? And
I haven't really got that much experience with it. Like mine's been more accidents rather than sporting events or sporting situations.
Yeah.
Sometimes I watch TV and I see, when sometimes guys are about to have sex and then they don't, and then they get really pissed off and they go, "Oh, don't leave me like this," right? I think that's for me personally, I think that's not true. But I know that if someone's got high testosterone and they're really highly sexed, then of course it's going to impact them. So, that's what blue balls is, right?
Blue balls. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that whole experience with the tantric and all that has really helped me to treat my body different.
Yeah,
well, some guys who haven't done all that stuff, they need the release.
Yeah.
Like some guys will say, I've had a hard day, I need to ejaculate.
Yeah, they do.
Then some guys will ejaculate more than once a day.
Wow.
And that's all got to do with I guess it's the same for you guys. It's all got to do with the levels of testosterone in your body.
Yeah.
Or estrogen. So if a guy's got high testosterone, he's going to be highly sexed.
Does it fall away though if you didn't?
Yeah.
It would just pass.
No, yeah, well they say that actually that's a good point. They say that, if you don't masturbate or you don't have sex, then your balls will shrivel.
Oh.
Because you're not ejaculating, and so they become smaller. So I know this is going to sound weird, me saying this, but, I really want women to know, I'm sure you do know, that we need to. It's not like we have to. There's sometimes a need to. It's a relaxant. It helps with, with stress. It helps with that whole theory. It actually produces the testosterone.
Wow.
So the theory is if you don't have sex for a long time and you're not masturbating, then that's why sometimes it's difficult for men who are in that boat to find a partner. And I put my hand up for that sometimes because you're just not doing it. So your body's not producing the testosterone. So your body needs to produce it by ejaculating.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, or taking it artificially.
I believe you now.
Is it my turn? Oh, no. Yeah, so what?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how many questions we're up to.
Yeah, we've got 3 more.
Okay.
Why do women ask for approval when they know the answer should be yes? So, for example, if you were to say to me, "Do I look okay?" You're not going to, there's no way in the world that you want me to say no. And if I say no, you're going to get annoyed. So why do you ask? And that's coming from people that are married, not from me, because I am comfortable to say to you, "You look shit" or "You look great," and hopefully our relationship will be fine. But I think if you're in marriage, why is it that married women expect? What is that about?
Well, a few things are coming to mind. One, we might be fishing for a compliment. You come to a point in your relationship where you look hot and you walk past your partner and they just kind of go, "Oh, good, you're ready," and you are like, "But do I look good? Like, tell me I look good."
So, okay. Now, but how do you, when you ask the question, how do I look? Why is it that you're asking? So this is the confusion that we have. So you're actually asking, and I understand that you want, why can't you just say what you just said to me? Why can't you just say to your partner, hey babe, you know what? When you walk past me, you don't notice me. Can we work on that? But instead you ask a question that is loaded. Because if he says no, I prefer you in the red dress. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's sort of like it's set up. So we sometimes men lie. That's what I'm telling you.
Well, I'm sure
That's our fake orgasm. Because we know, right? We know that you want to hear we know that question comes with an expectation. And so again, this is not me talking, I'm just basing it on what I've heard with clients. But they will say, what the guys say is that they keep the peace.
Yeah.
So rather than saying,
I think the reason we don't say that, I think it all comes down to what you just spoke of before, our self-esteem. Like we probably are too scared. Well, I think if we have to ask you and say to you, I need you to tell me that I look good when I walk past you, because that's
not what I said. What I said is, it's basically, what I was saying is that you notice that there's a communication issue and you need to communicate. So, there's nothing, if the guy, guys aren't organically going to do that.
No, but
you know what I mean? So that's why, to get it loaded, like a guy will not organically, they will at the beginning, but then eventually everything settles. But you are wanting a compliment, which I get. We all want that. But, but instead of saying to him, hypothetically, how do we get the spark back? Or how do we, do stuff in our relationship where we're into each other again? Because it just becomes easy.
Yeah.
Instead, you ask that loaded question. And that loaded question is, it's confusing for us, and we get nervous.
Of course you do. And hearing this, it makes absolute sense. But I think it's risky to then to go deeper. It's risky to really say there's a problem. It's, if you're coming from a place of low self-esteem,
right,
potentially they're going to say, well, I don't find you attractive. So, yeah, the spark has gone. Maybe it's over.
Can I ask, do you feel that you tell him that he looks hot? Or do you think that females are that's something it's a female thing? And if you were to say to your partner, I think you're hot, do you think they care?
Yeah, I think I'm somebody that tells my partner that he's gorgeous and delicious and incredibly sexy. I don't know that he needs it as much as I'm telling him. And
well, do you feel that do you feel like it is the dynamics of a relationship? Because not everyone's going to be as vocal as what we're talking here. Like I know that there are people. I know my dad never says it to my mum. So like, that's my dad. So there's a lot of men that probably don't see that. They feel it, but they don't say it.
No, that's right.
It's the same. It's the same as the love word, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and that's fine. I mean, that's quite beautiful in itself, isn't it? That you just so comfortable with this incredible beauty moving around your relationship that you don't need to make comment.
Yeah.
But why we ask it, I think when we're going out somewhere and we put all that effort in, I think it is just probably more of a curse that we're putting on you for not having done it first.
No, but I think it is a courtesy. You're doing all the effort and you want to be noticed. You want to be. It's like I guess a good man will notice things. That's all I'm going to say.
And sometimes we honestly aren't sure if we do look good. Like my husband's really good at telling me if my shoes don't match what I'm wearing. So I will say, do these shoes go? And it's not because I want him to.
So you accept it.
Yeah, I'm actually asking for some fashion advice.
Okay, cool. All right, next question.
All right, my next question. Are some men intimidated by successful women? So I think it's quite common.
Oh my God, yes.
Quite a number of successful women feel like they can't find a partner because they're so successful and intimidated.
I think that again, this is an assumption, but I think that a lot of men would probably feel a tinge of being uncomfortable or feeling intimidated by a woman of many different. It could be career. It could be that she's sexually more confident. It could be that she's stronger or she's more personable. Like, I think that if any of those types of women came across a man, there would be a tinge of it. The confident men will probably have that for a very short time, and then they'll be intrigued. and
Yes.
they'd love that. But if a man is insecure and doesn't do the loving himself work, of course he's going to be insecure because that's why a lot of people who have got women that are earning more separate. Because
Yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah.
the mentality, for example, of the hours or the behavior. The jealousies come out, and men don't know how to navigate through that. They
Yeah.
don't know how to sit there and understand and go, "This is about me."
Does it
Men like to project.
does it go back to maybe what we were talking about before, that historical roles that,
Yeah.
so a feeling of failure that you're.
Well, I think that your son and your daughter will be the next generation that will experience a difference. We're still living in a time when we have grandparents and we have evidence and information based around the whole role playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I look at my house, for example, when I'm with my mum, even though I beg for me to do something in the kitchen, I'm not allowed.
Mm.
So that's being reinforced.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
everyone watches that. My brothers watch it. My nephews and nieces watch it. So,
Yeah.
until that generation changes, it's going to be reinforced. So some men haven't actually done the work yet.
No.
So, I was watching actually Paris Hilton's documentary on YouTube the other day, and she had a boyfriend and he was a nice guy. But then there was a moment when she was doing something really big, like she was DJing at this big concert, and instantly he became drunk and insecure.
Wow.
And she's saying to him, "Why are you doing this on this day? Why today?" And he just kept saying, "You're not giving me attention. You went to all these interviews. Like what? It's just this standard thing. It's neediness. And it boils down to men that haven't done the work. Because if men don't believe that there's a problem, then there's not going to be work. And if they don't believe there's a problem, then they're going to feel entitled.
Yeah.
And so when someone threatens that, they're going to say something rather than being celebratory about it, rather than saying, "Oh my God, good on you, darling," rather than accepting. But, the thing is that we still have, for a stay-at-home dad, for example, I think a lot of guys still cop a lot of shit from the men for
I
staying
think so.
home.
It's quite an uncomfortable place to be the stay-at-home dad, I
So
think.
when a guy does it, I'm really proud of them.
Me too. Me too. And I see us at the playground, all the mums in a circle, and I think, well, so and so's not here because shame. I don't know that I'd be happy walking into a room full of dads.
Yeah.
Feeling that.
All right.
Beautiful.
So this is a really tricky question because I've left it till the end. But, why is it, right? Or what do you think is going on when you hear that your partner watches porn or goes to a strip joint? When you think about, if you catch your partner watching porn or you hear that they've gone to a bucks night, they've gone to a strip joint, so let's leave it like that. They're not using it consistently. They're just randoms. Like they go to a strip joint and you may hear that, he got a lap dance. Like what do you feel when you hear that information?
Incredible jealousy.
Okay. So even though it's not real, do you think that something is happening? And do you feel that, do you feel angry that men have this culture where they just really they're drawn towards that?
Yep. And yet there's no way that you can't deny having to face the thought of, is it because I'm not good enough, beautiful enough, sexual enough, pleasing him enough, fun enough, carefree?
But do you sometimes think, I agree with you, right? But do you sometimes think that that's also part of the male culture, that there's a lot of guys that are pressured
To go. Oh, absolutely.
Well, there's also a lot of guys, that actually, they, I'm going to go back to that. There's no excuse, but there's that testosterone thing, for example. If, for example, a woman had a baby and there's no sex for a while, and then the man wants to masturbate, do you talk about that, or because is it just a hidden? You know what I mean? Because he's going to be masturbating.
Yeah.
And is he watching porn while he's masturbating and you don't know about it? Do you just pretend it's not in your head?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's very different for every relationship, obviously. Some people probably would feel quite comfortable talking about that.
Yeah.
And quite a lot of women are quite frisky when they've just had a baby too. So I don't know that there's that period.
Yeah. But I guess you feel, what the point of the question was about, you feel jealous because, again, there's a big division. Like if I'm in a relationship, I don't do any of that stuff. I don't feel the need to do it, right? But the thing is that a lot of guys, they work in corporate or they work in a job where it's
and they do that. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's this whole twisted world. But the main thing is that it's about I don't think they understand what you're really feeling. So that's why they keep it a secret, because they don't want to hurt you. But I think that's causing the problem.
And a lot of women would ask you too, though, like if that was Mary next door doing the lap dance, it'd be a different story, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So at which point?
Well, there's multiple things. Like, there's the repetitive going, so you're going to see the same people.
Yeah.
It's also
almost a relationship
with porn addiction. Like, it's you go on there to have fun, and then all of a sudden you start looking for other things, and that could lead to other things. Yeah. So I think that sort of behavior is a gateway to trouble. Not for everyone. No. But for some people. But what would you do if your partner wanted you to join in? What if he said to you, let's watch porn together? Like, how do you feel about porn?
Well, like I don't mixed feelings about porn, I suppose. Like, there's some pretty horrible things I've heard recently about its effect on our youth.
Yeah.
But
for you personally, if your partner said, let's do it, would you just say no, it's not you? Or do you think that it's open, you've got an open, it's an open experimental thing?
It's a really difficult thing to answer. I think, yes. I mean, there'd have to be a bit more of a discussion. Like, if it's really important, but then I would wonder whether there wouldn't be a way to meet halfway without the porn, like, is it just...
Well, I think that's where men and women are a little bit different. I know that there are women that love porn, and I know that there are men that don't like porn. But I think that, the confusion is based on... it's on the individual, because some people see it as a tool, while other people see it as a destruction. Some people see it as an addiction, while some people see it as a bit of fun. It's all up to the person. Like, you're right. Sex and porn have become a major concern for young people.
Very much.
So I don't know what the marriage is going to be like in the future, because there's, with the combination of Tinder and the apps and the porn, there's going to be this really total mixed ideology of what a relationship is.
Yeah.
Right? So...
And we'll lose the beautifulness of the boring bits. Like,
I think we'll lose the innocence. The innocence will be lost.
Yeah. I think you're right. Knowing too much. Like, it wasn't a thing when we were younger. Not really. It was magazines, wasn't it? So it was a little bit more imagination happening.
And it wasn't as accessible. Nowadays, you just pick up a phone and just do it on the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, again, I'm not trying to scare anyone listening, but, most teenagers are watching porn.
Yeah.
Like, if someone says they're not, they're lying. Because they're maybe not watching on their phone, but they're definitely seeing it at school on someone else's phone. Most kids by the age of 14 have seen porn. It's very common. The guys that I see for addictions are 17. They're addicted at 17.
I think what's probably worth putting into perspective too is a little bit of respect happening. And I think when it comes to strip joints and porn and stuff, sometimes you feel as if it's not very respectful to perhaps the woman involved in those sorts of things.
Sure, but I'm going to challenge that. Like, it's a known fact that at male strip joints, middle-aged women are crazy. Like, when you go to a male strip joint,
yes,
like, women that are over 40 are they're very touchy.
Yeah.
Well, in the male ones, there's very strict guidelines with no touching.
Yeah.
There's like security guards everywhere.
But I emanate the respect thing with that too. Like, I would be quite disappointed being in a place with a woman who was disrespectful to them. Like, so I think it's a difficult space, and like you say, very individual and based on your belief system too, I suppose, as well.
Yeah. Kim, I think we're going to leave it on that one.
Okay.
Because that was a really deep one, and we've almost gone an hour. So
I know.
That was
I was
fun.
expecting this to be a speed date. That was pretty intense.
That was fun. I hope people don't think that we're opinionated and we're trying to change people's opinions. We're just talking and sharing stuff, and we'll do this, every few months. The good thing about it is that we didn't know what the questions were. I really enjoyed your questions. And now that we know how we can go to the next level, we're going to be seeking out really deeper questions. So this is Joey.
And this is Kim.
Thank you for listening to 20 Questions, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.